Welcome to our Wednesday in Business podcast. This is colleague Somerville, and I have a very special guest here today, Marysa Maggio from FFL Solidity. Welcome, Marysa.
Thank you, Kylie, so much for having me on. I'm super excited and just honored to be on with you today.
No, it's an honor to be on with you today. Thank you for getting on. So, Marysa, I remember when we kind of both were like we were small in the business, right? Just getting started. Like kind of you were here before I got here, but you weren't here much longer than me, right? So you had your insurance license. You got your insurance license in August of 2015.
Yes.
And then you came to FFL when?
So I came to FFL now about 3.5 years ago. So I was with two companies prior to getting my insurance license, but definitely blessed to be here at FFL to say the least, Kylie.
Okay, so what made you and you got into insurance right after college?
Yes. So I got
what
into
made you do that?
Yeah, I know most people don't grow up and say I want to be in life insurance. I guess I did. No, I'm only kidding. Um, really kind of the way that swayed when I came out of college, Kylie, I kind of came out of college with that entitlement hat on, if you will, of I'm entitled to this corporate job where I'm going to make, X amount of dollars, this inordinate amount with my bachelor's degree. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm so I was telling my sister, Christina, who's in the business now with me, I'll never forget. I was telling her, Christina, I'm a loser. Like I got out, I just graduated and I'm still working in a restaurant, serving and bartending. And I was like, I'm a loser. I graduated, basically, how am I still here? Like, how am I still, why don't I have something better?
Yeah.
So I started applying to things on Craigslist, which sounds kind of funny now, in 2022.
Yeah.
I applied to 2 different positions. One sounded really cool, but I had no idea what it was. It was very almost like black screened. It was like, oh, like this is what we can do here and so on and so forth. But it wasn't giving me exactly what the job was. So I was like, apply though, I was 20, I was like, let's do this, apply. So I applied to 2 different positions. One was one ended up being life insurance. So I went there and I was exposed to the opportunity in a room. They kind of just did a quick screening and just kind of met who you were and kind of, why you were looking for a position. And then they just put you in a room and they just kind of explained the opportunity. Got you really excited at the end, that they're only going to pick, 1 or 2 people out of the come to find out the whole group got hired, but they kind of made you feel special on the way out. And but essentially what really sold me that day, Kylie, so to say, on the industry was I had just lost my mom, about a year and a half before that. So I knew the power of life insurance and I wasn't confused if it was important or if it wasn't. I was like, I don't know everything about it, but it's important, right?
So your mom had life insurance when she passed away?
She did have some life insurance when she passed away. Not enough for my sister and I to, sustain a lifestyle of, not working or, but enough that we were able to take the proper time to, kind of, grieve her, so to say. And knowing that was there was a big deal.
And I think that's what I know when we talk, Marysa, that's where we're similar, but different because I was 19 when my mom passed away.
Yeah.
But she didn't have any life insurance. Right. And so I didn't have any time. I had to drop out of college. I was working at the time. I had to just go right back to work. So that's a big deal that you were able to take that because it's especially at the age when we lost our moms, that's such a devastating time to lose your mother, especially as a woman, right? As a young woman, but taking that same, that tragedy and turn it into something where you can actually help people. And so that, not just with just basic life insurance, explaining them how important it is and not just having enough just for burial or, enough to be able to have enough time for people to be able to grieve. So just go to show how important it is that what we do is because we don't know. Your mom must have been young.
Yeah, she was 52 when she passed. And I'll never forget, Kylie, she was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. It was the type that at the time didn't show up on a mammogram. So it was, I think 9 or 10 years old and trying to explain, you have stage 4 cancer to your 9 or 10-year-old wasn't going to be easy. Right.
Yeah.
So, they gave her 6 months to live. She ended up living, over 9 years, which I was so thankful for.
Wow. Yeah.
But, it was like always kind of there in the back of my head. Like, what if I come home tomorrow and mom's not there? You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet, and even like thinking about some of the things that we offer, we're able to offer here at FFL, like living benefits.
Right.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like that's something that, you know what I'm saying, had you, your mom known that that's available, is, you know what I'm saying, because in that situation, that's where living benefits would come into play.
A
You
hundred percent.
know? Yeah. So it's that's it. I mean, it's sad, Marysa, but it, like, it gives us power behind what we do and makes us, you know, saying that we understand how important these things are, because we've been a, not a victim, but we've been exposed to those things at a young age, where most people don't lose their moms, that, when you're in your 19 or 20, saying most people still have their moms around to this day, so that's a
Right.
big deal.
Absolutely. And just like you were saying, Kali, I think that, we've shared our stories and like you said, they're similar but different. But at the same time, I think it really just shows both of us like, hey, you have an opportunity to help other people so that they're
Mm-hmm.
not in that situation, or so that they understand what it could look like. And I think that that's really powerful, probably, for me to help my clients and my agents. And same thing goes for you, right? To just be able to
Yeah.
explain, like, guys, this is real.
Yeah.
And, I think like that's where sometimes even myself, we can get so caught up in just day to day to day that it's like when we get that death claim, or we get that claim for critical illness, right? It's like it looks and sounds a lot different to you and I than it might to somebody else. Like, I'm not saying I want any of my clients to have to file, but at the end of the day, that's what we went there for,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So knowing that it's there, it's like, when we get that call, it almost wakes us up, a reminder of like, this is why you do what you do. And kind of out of these, situations that were, tough or challenging that we faced at a young age, losing, our moms. I think that one thing I know that came out of it that was great for me is the opportunity to be in this industry and just how passionate I am about it. So
Mm-hmm. That makes a big difference.
for sure.
And it's just you and your sister. You just have one sister.
Just one sister. Yep.
Okay. Y'all are like twins. Like, y'all are always together, like twins and best friends. Like, that's so awesome.
Exactly.
Um, so what made you transition? So we talked about, how you got into the industry. What was the kind of like the selling point for FFL? Like, where you were like, okay, this is, I need to make a change.
Yeah, so what I realized, like we always talk about, high comp, right? We talk about, and everyone's sick of hearing it, but it's like, it does matter, right? Because it plays into each and every organization that I've been a part of, and pretty much every other organization I've seen another agent come from is going to come under comp, right? Renewals
Mm-hmm.
or your book of business, right? The training and leads, right? So in my first company, we really didn't have, we had leads, like that's what they told us, and really we worked with union members benefits. So we did a lot of, like child safe kits and all that fun stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, once I hit like 22, I was like shaking my head. I'm hiring people and I'm telling them like, Kali, you can come in. We have leads and we have this and that. But then you're getting in my car and we're like, how many referrals can we get at Tom's house? Which isn't a bad thing, by the way. Like,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get,
yeah.
but for child safe kids before we pitch them the insurance, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of, after a while, it started to hit me different of like, there got to be something better out there in this amazing industry.
Yeah.
So I saw from, a friend, essentially a lead. It was the first time I saw a life insurance lead. And I was like, wow, like, so again, me, I don't do my research, right? So in my first company, just to kind of go back to like the basics, the comp, I think I'm like 99% sure I was either at a 30 or a 32.5%. And now, Kali, exactly. Now, not only that, but every single time that they would, give me a promotion, so to say, which was basically just a cooler name, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They would take
Yeah.
my team. They would tell me how great I am, right? They're like, you're so awesome that you can just
You
build
can
another
build it
team.
again. I
And
know.
I'm like, yeah, right? Until I was like, no, right? So that really
That's the
stopped.
same thing in the company I came from. Like, oh, you did it. You did. You're so great. If you did it once, you can do it again.
Yeah, you're like, that's my
No.
business, right? Exactly. Like, so essentially that really just, it left a bad taste in my mouth. And it made me realize comp does matter, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Leads
Mm-hmm.
matter. And then on top of it, I mean, I know people that worked there for many more years than I did, but still I lost over, almost 2 years of renewals, so it's like renewals matter, guys. You know, not everyone's
Yeah.
going to hand them out when you leave, right? At most places.
No, they're not. Except for FFL.
Exactly. That's really that's all I've heard them coming from. So, you know, essentially from there, I saw a lead, and this isn't really what got me to FFL, but it's what got me to look out of a captive organization and realize, hey, there's other people out there that need help, right? So I was able to see the lead, and just so have my you know, the person dialed on it, they booked it right in front of me, and I was like, wow, that's real. So I was already kind of on my way out of, you know, practice company A, went to practice company B, and really, Kali, my biggest concern, so to say, when I was there was, you know, let's just say that I was bringing you in, you would start at a 70, like period, end of story. Like, I don't care. We didn't care if you had 20 people you were bringing in, like you were going to start at a 70 until those 20 people came in. And then we would talk about, you know, bumping your comp up from there. However, you're like, yeah, I know exactly. Right. And I was
So
like,
you
cool.
weren't getting any, you were bringing in people and not making any overrides.
Exactly. So essentially, you know, they made you stay in one place for 2 months. You had to hit that level, and then you would go to 5 points, 5 points, 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, Kali, you know, here at FFL, if you personally produce and you're helping, you know, 60 families 2 months back to back, you're at a 130, right?
Right.
Like, you know, so here I'm like making my 5 points up. And essentially, let's just say again, I brought you in at a 130. Their top comp, a 70. Their top comp, I believe now is a 130. So
Okay.
the spread in between us is 60%, right?
Wow.
So now, Kelly, every time you go out and make a sale, you're making 70%. I'm making 60.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
you're doing the work.
That's
like, but
abusive.
I'm only making 10% less than you. And but you're the one doing all the work.
And you bought the lead, you know what I mean? And so on. So I really started to realize, because I remember, you know, I reached out with this selfish comment, and this is something I'll never forget. And this is somebody who reached out to me at FFL. And my mindset has changed quite a lot since then. And I said, I don't know how you make any money. And mind you, Kali, I always, you know, worked hard. Like I write at a fairly high level. You know what I mean? I can provide for myself on my own pen. I'm not confused about that.
Yeah.
But what I said to somebody here at FFL was, you guys don't even grow businesses there. You know, like, you guys make no spread. And then they responded back to me and said, like, well, like, what spread are you making off your agents? And I was like, oh, like, I think I'm cool. And I'm like, you know, like 20%, you know, 25, 30%, whatever it was, right? And they respond back to me and they said, well, how long do you think your agents are going to stay there? And that actually hit me, because I wasn't like mad about it or petty. I was actually,
yeah.
That's a good question, you know? So, and I started to see my agents leaving, Kali, and I was like, why are they going to this Family First Life place? They can't even build a business there. Like, they're.
So you thought they couldn't build it? They couldn't build a business here. Okay, yeah.
Correct, because that's what I was like instructed. I was told, if you're a good personal producer, you should go to Family First Life. Okay. If you're not, if you want to build a business, you should stay here. Okay. Because this is where you build a business and you get those massive overrides that are, in my personal, abusive. Just, that's the best word.
Yeah, it is. That's real. Yeah.
Exactly. So really kind of from there, seeing that and actually being able to ponder upon that question of like, and they responded back to me and said, a little bit off of a lot is a lot. All right. And now we all say that. I use it too, because guess what? It is, right? And it really sat with me, because I was like, okay, if we can, you know, build a business where we're having people, and it's not this revolving door, it's a family. We're building with each other. We're helping one another. Like, it's not this place where we're all out for each other, if you will.
Because we're making money. That's why
making money together.
We don't have to be so selfish all about ourselves. Like, and I tell people that, like, the company I came from, everybody was selfish, and you had to be, right? Because it wasn't enough to go around.
Exactly. And, you know, it's like, I'm just so thankful that here at FFL, it's like, you know, people can say like, oh, well, you know, there's not this lead type, but guess what, Kali? There's this lead type. Like, there's a lead type everywhere. And like, that's what I love. It's like, the comp is high. We're not making abusive rides. In my personal opinion, we have the best training, like, under the sun. I used FFL trainings when I worked at a different IMO. So wow. That just says a lot there. You know what I mean? And the essence of renewals and residual income, I think anyone in this business, if they don't understand that, they really have to look into, what does that mean? Because I didn't know. I was like, oh, that sounds cool, but I have to wait 10 years. That's what I was told. You know, I was like, but just 10 years. I was 20. So I was like, I'm ready, you know, but it's like, that wasn't the best business model to be in. And I think
Yeah.
actually realizing that and being able to ponder upon people's questions became so helpful for me to realize, like, hey, if you want to build a business, this is the place, this is the vehicle, this is the avenue, and you trust the leadership. You've used their training, so you know it works, right? It's duplicatable. And like basically, you're losing agents to this company because you're being too selfish to look into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think,
Wow.
when I was able to really say, like, Marysa, you're being selfish, because that's something I wasn't brought up to be, or that I would never put myself in that category, so to say. It almost
Right.
hurt me. I was like, damn, you have been real selfish.
Yeah.
And from there,
But
it's been like, forward up.
not your fault. Like you're just following, you know what I'm saying? You sound a lot like me, Marissa. Like I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Let's go. Like I don't need a bunch of details. Like, but in that process, when we do that, there may be some details that we do need to know.
Exactly.
And then we
Yeah.
figure out later, we're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense.
Exactly. What were we thinking? We weren't. Yeah. We were just moving. Yeah.
So I appreciate your honesty with that. Now, this is a great conversation, but I try to keep it to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You're building the agency because you're helping right now. Your team is on average helping about 500 families a month, which
Yeah.
is a big freaking deal, especially being here for 3.5 years. Like at where I came from in my practice company, people had to be there for 30 since the company started like in 1977 in order to be helping 500 families a month, right?
Yeah.
And so after 3 years, that's what you're doing. So if somebody wants to work with you, Marysa, and you're in I mean, of course you're, we're all, we can recruit people from across the country, but you're stationed in Massachusetts near Boston.
Yes.
um but if somebody wants to join your team, FFL Solidity, how do they get in contact with you?
You can call me 607-778-9615, or you can add me on Instagram. It's my first and last name. I'll put together in one, Marysa Maggio, and I'd love to talk to you.
All right, perfect, Marysa. Thank you so much for jumping on. I appreciate it. This was a great call. Great conversation as usual. I can't wait to see where you go from here. I'm one of your biggest fans, so I'm always watching you. So if anyone knows of any other women that would be great on our Women in Business Wednesdays, let me know so we can get them on here. But thank you again, Marysa. I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Kali. And you're one of the women I look up to in this business, and I can't
Oh,
wait to see it take off. I appreciate you.
thank you. Have a good one.